Some tears. I got a favorite picture of my grandma. I was trying to hug her, and she said not to hug her too close because I'd mess up her hair. We were in a restaurant, and I ordered French fries and was pouring ketchup on them when she saw it was Heinz brand, so she called the waiter over and demanded American ketchup. He didn't know what she was talking about, so she explained it real slow. According to my grandma, that Carrie lady that was married to Heinz ketchup but now's married to Carrie, that's the fellow that was running for president. Well, he's a liberal, and that means so's the wife, so if I use this ketchup, I might as well be a communist too. But the waiter said the place only had Heinz ketchup, so she had him take my order and bring back brand new fries. When he comes back, he says, "Here are your freedom fries, ma'am." He kept looking around. I think he thought there was a hidden camera and he was on a reality show. I do have a fear of not living worthy. My grandfather died on a Tuesday. I know because I would often go back with him when he made the trip down to see me and come back home. My granddad was one of 9. He was the baby of the family with sisters and one older brother. His brother John died in New Jersey that morning, so he was going to preach at his own church's Wednesday service and then go to New Jersey to preach at his brother's funeral afterwards. He was contemplating the ways things used to be, not sad, but real mellow. We had a nice talk about his life growing up and the way it feels to be 70 and have all your sisters and brothers die already. And he gave me this great speech about I shouldn't be so shy. I know in part my grandma was mad because she was going to come down with him, but she changed her mind because she was ticked off at me since I skipped Thanksgiving. She has said if she had been in the car, she might have alerted him to the fact that an 18-wheeler was speeding down on him, or at least died with him. At the funeral, I got this feeling that my grandma kind of blamed me, but when you actually hear the words, they hang there over every conversation we had ever since. Time stopped at her house. Christmas decorations are up in places just like they was when my grandpa came down to visit. She won't change the calendars or wash the coffee cup that he left on the counter. I know she yelled at him to wash it himself the way she always did. And in spite, she didn't touch it so it'd be there when he came back. And if he wanted a clean cup in the morning, he'd have to wash it himself. Now it's like if she leaves it out, he will just have to come back and clean it. That coffee cup will just pull him back from the grave. He'll come back out of obligation to clean up after himself. She has every picture from every photo album over the years in frames. It is like a ghost town. No one says anything about it because really what can be said? This sounds like a lie, but it's true. I think of it as my Grandma Lucy May syndrome. If 100 people tell me I'm okay, I might not believe them, but if my grandma says I'm an evil monster because my grandpa came to see me and then died when he was driving home, half his brains scattered all over the highway, and some drunk truck driver sitting on the side of the road, so far gone he didn't even realize what he'd done, I'm willing to believe it, but not completely, so I fight it and try to convince her I'm okay. One of these days, I am moving thousands of miles away from her, even if I don't have one friend in my new state. Once I'm away from my pressure of Granny and her hopes of me taking care of her because I owe her for making my granddaddy love me, being the reason he went and got himself killed, I will get my brain back. Granddaddy didn't die right away. They patched him up as good as they could, and he hung on for a week or so. I went to see him where he was, and they couldn't pull me from his bedside with a 4x4. He come in and out of his delirium from time to time, and he was wearing enough he could tell I was mighty upset. One time he come to, he reached over and patted me in my arm and told me not to turn myself all inside out. There weren't nothing to worry about. "How can you say that, Granddaddy? Doctor says you're mighty sick, might even die." He said, "Honey, I've been through an awful lot in my life, and in that time I done learned only one of two things can happen. I'm either going to get better or get worse. If I get better," he says, between gasps of air, "there won't be nothing to worry about at all. And if I get worse, there's only two things to worry about. I'll either get better or die." He seemed to doze off for a couple seconds, but then woke up with a tiny start like he remembered he had something to tell me. "And if I get better, of course there won't be nothing to worry about. And if I die, there'll only be two things to fret over. Either I head up going up to heaven or the other place. If I go to heaven, Lord knows I ain't got nothing to worry about. And if it's hell, well, I'll be so busy catching up with old friends, I won't got no time to worry about nothing." He thought that was so funny and laughed, probably more than what was good for him, because then he launched into a coughing fit, something terrible, and coughing up blood even, and that's when the nurses come in, and this time they made sure I left his bedside. I remind myself that if I never asked him to come up, he was 75, he made a choice. If I even for a second take responsibility for her hate on top of the unhappiness the people in the town feel at people of color in general, and our family in particular, I would be overwhelmed. She was also mad because I didn't cry at the funeral, but some tears are cried inside.